Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we have today's advanced format runner, Andy Realheight. Recognize him from GOAT. He is playing Snake Eye, Fire King.
Because I don't own Fiendsmith engravers, and I know someone's gonna be like, "Oh wait, is that an ultimate rare ash?" And be like, "What do you
Yes.
mean you don't have money for engravers?" Don't worry about it.
I'll let him
But, yeah,
take the.
I wanted to play this because I like Fire Kings, and this was the way to play the deck now that Ash is limited. So we'll just go into the profile. For the Snake Eye monsters, 1 Ash, 1 Poplar because they're now limited, 1 Oak. I don't think you play Birch because I think that card doesn't do anything, and playing more of this just means you're bricking more, so I don't like it. 1 Snake Eye Diabellstar because the field spell, the Divine Temple, just makes this do insane amounts of grind game for you. For some reason, this is a 2800 Grand Mole in the worst scenarios, and in most better scenarios, it's just a body that cycles to get you to your main setups with Flameburst Dragon, Amplo Whale with Fire King stuff engraved. And then the Flameburst Dragon. I don't think you need more than 1 Flameburst as long as you're just resource grinding correctly, it's fine. All of these are just pretty understandable one-ofs. 3 Black Witch, it's like the main reason why the deck still has consistency. Especially this with 3 Wanted, you're just going to have 2 different lines of pushes between the normal summon push and the Black Witch special summon extender push, excuse me. And because of that, Original Sinful Spoils is like always something you have access to, just in different ways.
And yes, this just might be the most expensive deck profile on the channel because Andy's cards are all high rarity for the most part.
Yeah, for the rest of this stuff, like the Fire Kings, 2 Kieran, you don't need the 3rd. It's actually kind of bricky, but being able to chain this to your Snake Eye Ash getting Imperm or Veil are just kind of fun. Just knowing that you can add this from grave to hand off of Dual Little Chimera to make sure that your Amblo Whale is going to still be an interaction piece is really important. 1 Sacred Garunix, 1 Arvada, and 1 Ponix makes up the main Fire King component. The fact that Ponix is a level 1 is the reason why this is worth mixing with Snake Eye. Just by being able to use Arvada as your Nibiru negate, essentially, because without Apollosa, you still need a game plan going into it. And the fact that this is just recycling resources and recycling Chimera, which then recycles back into Kieran's, just gives you absurd grind game, provided your opponent isn't drawing exactly Cosmic Cyclone for Island. The rest of the monsters, 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, and 3 Fenrir. Fenrir was because I wanted something that really punishes Shifter, because this deck just hard loses to Shifter if you don't play Fenrir control to some degree. And I will admit I was drawing Fenrir when my opponents were drawing Shifter a fair bit today, so call it luck, call it acknowledging the format for what it is. Fenrir was amazing. Maybe there's an argument that you could shift some of the ratios of the list out for different non-engine to play, like some number of the field spell for Kashtira, a Kashtira Birth, and a Unicorn. I didn't want to go that heavy on field spells just because of how it can be clunky to have Island and Divine Temple mixing with 1 field zone a little too awkwardly sometimes, so the Fenrirs were fine today. There's arguments for one way or another. For the spells, 3 Wanted, it's just more Diabellstars. Sometimes people were forgetting that this can search the Fire Diabellstar monster, so you can just either pitch it because you already drew Black Witch, or because this is a Fire monster, so you can pop it in hand with Island. Sometimes that does matter, because Black Witch is a dark. 3 Bonfire, you saw the Snake Eye cards. It's copies 2, 3, and 4 of Ash, now that it's limited, same with Poplar. 1 Original Sinful Spoil, you have endless ways to get to this hard once per turn card, so 1 is all you need. 1 Divine Temple, it's the other target for Poplar, because if you have Poplar access and Black Witch access, Black Witch, Poplar, you get the idea. The 1 Sanctuary, the 1 Island, you're just going to be able to original summon out Ponix and have access to this Fire King engine, which is just total 7 cards. Some people are actually cutting the Sanctuary because this card doesn't really do anything on its own. I still like it with the Snake Eyes just as like a body, like a blank face-up card you can send for Snake Eye effects to just get another name out of the deck. And protecting Island from being destroyed is at least something that makes your opponent have to commit to an SP line to try to banish the island, at which point that means they're probably committing into Arvada suboptimally. And then the other spells, like just some other things. 1-for-1, it's another different named OSS in this deck, or Original Sinful Spoil. Sometimes your opponent just puts you on, oh, I hand trapped you twice, you clearly don't have anything. I'm going to 1-for-1 pitch something and still have like a third push. I'll buy because hand traps are everywhere right now. I don't think there's a reason not to play this, especially since it's Stop Shifter. 3-droplet is the last spell. I just like it in this deck because of the ways that you can manipulate Ash, getting to dodge Imperm, Veiler, that kind of stuff, being able to pitch some of your Fire King stuff into the grave, which can then just reborn and make the cost of this negligible, or just sending Snake Eyes that are in the back row off of Divine Temple. And from there you can just play the grind off of that, or Droplet just lets you kill things really easily. And the only traps are 3 Imperm and the Angel Statue, because we play the Link 2 Rabbit that sets this from the deck. It just gives you a different end-board interaction piece now that Apolos is gone. For the extra deck, Anima, the only Link 1. There's not really a reason to play the Almirage. I don't really know if I would ever want to play Almirage just by virtue of how this deck is. Hida and Dark Charmers, because everything in this format is either a fire or a dark, it feels like. Like, even just Dark Charmer takes Shifter, Link off, being able to, in grind games, and just being able to make Promethean feels really dumb. Hida should be self-explanatory, but fire monster format. The other, let's see, IP, SP. If you can, you should be playing these. I don't think there's any reason not to play them if you can. Sunlight Wolf, because in this deck, being able to summon monsters next to it to then add back a Kirin from grave, then means that the Kirin gets to pop the Ambler Whale. So, and there's also some lines with Sunlight Wolf where you just use this to then make the Chimera underneath it before you commit to OSS, and you just get to link 4 into Ambler Whale and just have all your resources locked and loaded. And then when the island pops, searches Garunix pops Arvada in deck, Arvada brings this back, and you just get 2 extra link materials brought back for relatively free. Phoenix, because you firelock yourself with Promethean a fair amount, so just having another generic body helps. And Rabbit, because of the end piece.
Congratulations.
That's all the 2s. 3s, 2 Promethean. There's no argument to playing the Selene anymore, because Selene's main payoff was making an early Apollosa, but with Apollosa gone, there's not really a point. I guess you could make access code with it, but like, I just figure that the main lines that I'm going to be killing people with is going to involve the Raging Phoenix Zealantis push, or it's because I'm going first and making the Ambler Whale, which in the Fire King build is the most important Link 4 in the deck, just by virtue of being a card that does something when it's destroyed. And I don't mean like this because something else was destroyed, I mean this card itself being destroyed and floating back into Chimera when it's destroyed, then means this dies on your opponent's turn, you get to add back another resource, you just have crazy grinding. And then the last extra deck slot, because I wanted my IP to do more than just summon Phoenix or SP, was Goddess. Made it a couple of times today, people always hate it. It's just the way in which this deck can ignore big unaffected bosses. So it makes your Pearly matchup not unlosable. Or sorry, not unwinnable, excuse me.
Quick side deck.
Quick side deck, because I haven't really put too much thought into it overall. 3 Bestials, Magnamut searches these, of course, although technically this can get back Flamebridge Dragon, which is really funny. Yeah, just 3 Bestials. I don't think there was enough room to play a higher count, and I don't know if I would want to. 3 of the Water Max C card, because sometimes you draw this and you get to draw like 5 cards because your opponent doesn't respect it, and it just wins games on its own. 3 Ghost Ogre, never cited him today because I never played against the matchups I wanted them for. In theory, it's supposed to be amazing against the Ubel deck, or Fiend Link, Fiendsmith, Unchained, whatever we're calling that deck now, because they're now limited to 1 on the continuous spell that's the Searcher. Opening Spirit Gates, thank you. Because then cutting them off of that resource grind of being able to pitch a card or born a monster, being able to hit the Nightmare Throne so they don't get to summon the Ubel of 1 up or down is a big deal. Playing against the mirror match, it's really good because Divine Temple is the way you play mirror matches, and cutting them off of that is huge. Apollosa being made with IP is not a thing anymore, and that was like the big thing that made Ogre really bad before, because if you would bait an Apollosa, you would go Chain Ogre, and then your opponent would say, yeah, that Apollos is not dying, it was made with IP, and then you just cried. But now that that's definitely not a thing anymore, you just chain this to the IP, and it's always going to find value. 3 Cosmic, because it's the only back row removal that this deck needs outside of just the Fire King cards breaking boards on their own, especially non-target back row removal with Kieran. And the last was just 3 Judgment, because this deck loses to board breakers.
And we all know.
Evenly matched, talents, etc. So just having the I'm going first side card that says no really did come up a lot today, so I am glad I played it.
We may not have known it back in the day when that card came out, but Judgment's pretty damn fucking powerful.
Yeah. And that's the deck.
Alright, Andy, just hit it because my phone's about to die. So, thank you for the deck list.
Thank you for having me.
I'll see you guys in the next video.
Peace.